Well, we're here at Hamilton Island, and look who I've run into. Rob Mundle. Good to see you, Rob.
Brownie, great to see you.
This is, what?
We go back a lot of years.
A lot of years. 36th edition of Hamilton Island Race Week.
Yep.
You were here on day one, or
Day
even
one.
before.
Yeah, 36 years ago.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Where are those years gone? Mate, that was even after we gave away 18 footers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear. Yeah, no, it's just been fantastic. And to see where Hamilton Island Race Week is now, from where we started, is just so exciting. And I don't think we've got anywhere near the peak yet. There's so much more to be had here. I was wandering along the dock yesterday, and Gavin Brady was there. And he just reiterated, he said, this is the best regatta in the world.
Yeah.
And like, there's a guy who's world champion, been all over the place. He said there's nothing to beat it.
Yeah. So, and like, it's not an easy place to get to. If you're a yacht owner around Australia, there's a lot of effort, it's a lot of miles to go.
Sure.
But this year we've got 234 entries.
Yeah.
Second largest fleet ever.
Yeah.
It just seems to get bigger and better each year.
And that's because of what we deliver. We're just not another regatta.
Yeah.
And the Oatleys, ever since the Oatleys took over this island, and then with them being sailors and very open-minded people, everything's about making sure everyone has a good time. If everyone has a good time, they go take away the best memories. They go back to the yacht clubs, they go back and see their friends, they tell them how great it is.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a double-barrel effort, actually, because mentioning Hamilton Island, people think holidays as well. Yeah, we can't deny there's definite commercial aspects to this event for them, and you can't blame them for that. But as far as sailors are concerned, realistically, there's nothing to compare about it.
Well, sailing around the islands, there's just so many islands here. The current flow is incredible. You know, 3 or 4 knots of current. It's a challenging place to sail, but that's what makes it so good.
Well, absolutely, and that's why so many of the guys love it. And it makes you a better sailor. There's 74 islands within a 25 nautical mile radius of Hamilton Island, plus the Great Barrier Reef. So the opportunities for great racing, and with the Whitsunday Passage just behind us here, all the little islands there, we can go around what we can do. And Dennis Thompson, our race director, has got so many good options for good courses. And then we've got great sailing out there, and there's an unbelievably good social agenda as well for the week. And one of the big advantages, I think, of Race Week is the fact that we are on an island. You go to any other regatta, people will come back ashore, they might go to 1 or 2 drinks in the pub or the bar, club bar or whatever, then they disappear into the night and go their own way. And here, it's party central every night after the race. And when I say party central, it's just a great bond, a great relationship between sailors from the smallest little trailer yacht up to the super maxis. You know,
I was going to say that. You know, the cross section of the competitors is amazing, isn't it?
Well, we've got a guy who's towed a little trailer yacht up from South Australia, and with 1 or 2 of his crew in the car, the old Holden Kingswood or something, I think it was. But he's towed it all the way up here, stop on the side of the road, and that's their accommodation. They sleep on the boat as they tow it up here to go to Race Week. And you know, yesterday, with all that blowout there, the photographers got some great images, not only of the big boats, but the little trailer yachts, and they're having a ball. You know, it's blowing, they're downwind, they're upwind, and they're loving every minute of it.
Yeah, it's just great, isn't it?
Can't beat it.
Now, we've got a presentation tonight.
Yeah.
There's 600 odd people booked for the presentation. We've got 14 divisions of trophies to hand out.
Yep.
You'll be up on stage again doing it, Master of Ceremonies. Do you ever get sick of it?
No, you can't, mate. Not when it's an event like this, because there's such a bond here. There's such a relationship, and it's so exciting. As you say, I go back to year 1, but it just keeps getting. You say it can't get better than that. It does.
Yeah.
We had a beach party over at Qualia yesterday that was second to none. And it's all just part and parcel of the whole scene. So you know, everything is good, and you know, this year's presentation will step that up a little bit more, and next year it'll be a little bit more. And we're always looking for, not cracks, but we're always looking for ways to make it better. And because they're every sailor here, every family friend, everyone is our ambassador, and we want every one of them to go back and say, best regatta I've ever been to. What fun, how they look after us, everything else on they go, and that's what they're our billboard, they're our our advertisements for the regatta.
You mentioned the Oatley family. They bought the island some years ago.
Yeah.
Made it an amazing transformation in the island.
Brilliant.
Upskilling the staff, the amenities, the facilities, beautifying the island.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago,
Yeah.
we get hit with a cyclone which decimated the whole Whitsunday Island group, including here.
Yeah.
There's no leaves on the trees.
Show me the evidence of the cyclone now. What they've done to recover from that is amazing. And it's just the spirit of the family. Although you mentioned it was 2003 when they bought the island. I was actually sailing with Sandy Oatley here that year. And it's a lovely story and has been imprinted. Bob, the late Bob Oatley, Popeye, wasn't out sailing that day, and the island was for sale. They were looking for a buyer, and the guy who was the GM here knew Bob had been cashed up with over a big business deal. He said, "Hey, would you be interested in buying the island?" And Bob's gone, "What?" Anyway, well, now Bob had time to fill in, and it might have touched, but an amazing business brain. So he started going around the island with this guy and looking at all the assets and everything else, and he saw the airport. And he's gone, well, you know, an island resort with its own commercial airport, that's something in its favour. Long story short, he's looked at it all, and we had a crew dinner that night. He grabbed Sandy and Ian, his sons, and they said, "What do you want?" And he said, "I think we can buy this island." And then they said, "What?" They said, "Dad, we know about wine and we know about coffee, we know nothing about resorts or islands." So Bob said, "No, I think it's a deal, I think it's a good deal." So they agreed that they'd take all the paperwork back to their finance controller on the Monday and see what he thought. So went into his office and said, "Here," he said, "What's that?" And Bob said, "I think we can buy Hamilton Island." So with that, he's picked it up and thrown it straight into his waste paper basket. Bob said, "What's that for?" He said, "Well, we're in the wine and coffee business, Bob. We know nothing, just like Ian and Sandy." So no, Bob said, no, look, please take it home tonight and read it. Come back tomorrow and tell me what you think. So next morning, Sandy, Ian and Bob are in the office waiting for him to arrive. He walks in the door wearing a straw hat, a floral shirt and a pair of shorts. He looked at Bob and said, "It's a deal." And that's where it all started. And really, it just shows what great talent the Oatley family has in business, period, and what they've done. And it's great for our sport, great for us that we have people like that who own this island who love sailing.
Yeah. A lot of people think that the Oatley family owns Robert Oatley Wines and Wild Oats. They've got something like 350 labels.
Absolutely.
High quality wines. Not saying that those two aren't high quality. No. A wide range of wines from all around the world.
Absolutely, and they're among the world's best winemakers now. There's no doubt about it. And the great thing is that they're Australian. They know the business. They produce wonderful product. They also act as agents for some of the world's best champagnes, like Piper and Charles Heidsieck. They really know their business there, and they're proving now. Don't forget, we've got Glenn Burke, Olympian and world champion sailor, managing CEO of the operation here, running it. So actually, it shows that sailors can be quite smart, eh?
Yeah, we're not that bad after all.
That's right.
Maybe.
Yeah. I hope there's a chip off the old block in somewhere there.
Yeah. Now tell me, Rob, you're an author, you're media, you're marketing guru through all of your career, but you're also an author. And I believe this is book 12 or book
18.
Book 18 coming
Number
out.
18,
Can you tell us about the next book?
Yeah, the next book, which will be out in October, I've just finished writing 92,000 words, and it's a 75-year history of the Hobart race. And what it is in collaboration with the CYC and with my publisher, and they came to me and said, "Will you write it?" And I've gone, "Sure," because I'm a long-time member of the CYC as well. Done a few Hobarts, covered it more than 50 times, so I thought, that'd be a nice project. But as it turned out, it was a monster. 7 days a week going at it, but I got there. And I think it's not every 1968, 1969, 1970. It's not that. I've pulled the eyes out of so many of the great stories, and there are so many stories there. Some people know about, others won't. And that's fantastic. But I've also been very lucky. There was a lovely scene here last year, the presentation of the trophies here at Race Week, where I'd finished that and went and sat down, and this lovely lady, rather short, walked up to me and said, "Do you remember me?" I've looked at her and I've gone, "No, this gives me away." I said, no, I don't. I'm sorry. She said, "You were the first boy to kiss me." True story. I've gone, whoa. Straight away I've gone, Lindy Luke. And she said, wow, Luke. Peter Luke was her father. Peter Luke started the CYC and also was the man behind the Hobart race. And so she's got all this memorabilia and everything else. So lucky there. And also I'm very involved with the Australian National Maritime Museum on board there. They've got so much stuff there, which I've been able to pull on and get this book together with. So I've been very fortunate. I think it's going to work. I think people will love it. Everyone that's read the draft.
When's it come out?
It'll be out in October.
Great.
And I think that might be my last book.
Okay, the 75th Hobart coming up. While it's 11 in the shed, getting another change to it. What are they going to do this year?
Well, as you know, I'm media manager for the boat, so if I tell you, I'm going to have to kill you.
I didn't expect it, by the way.
No, look, it's becoming common knowledge. The blackjack's been modified, as we all know, to go faster and hopefully knock off oats, and you can't sit down and wait. You've got to try to stay that bit ahead. So my understanding is, I haven't seen it, but they're taking the 2 canards out, the 2 retractable boards that were there near the mast. They're going to go, and they're going to go back to some form of forward rudder or foil. I'm not sure whether it's retractable or not. I think it will be. But so they're going back to a forward rudder to minimise drag, and they had a bit of trouble. Is common knowledge, getting the angle of attack on the foils right.
Yes.
And so they've gone back to put the forward rudder in, canard, and hopefully get better leverage and less wetted surface that way.
Did I see the other day up here tank testing of a forward rudder, possibly in front of the rail barge on the island here?
Oh, that could be right. I didn't see.
With Sandy and a few technical looking people on board.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. I wasn't across that. But look, and that's one of the great things about the Oatleys, and I don't want to sound patronising. I've known them for so long. I wrote Bob's life story. They are just into it, and they love their team, they love their people, the spirit, the bond, and that comes from Bob in the early days of the wine business and everything he did. But that wouldn't surprise me if they're out there and all having Sandy would be in the thick of it. Looking at what they're going to do. He was down there on his knees looking at the flow on this rudder.
And
he's a real guru and all that sort of stuff. He loves it. He just loves all that hand-on exciting stuff. The things he's done, like he designed and created, the story goes, they had one of their wineries out near Mudgee. They needed some pipes laid down the side of the road over some considerable distance, and this guy came along with this pipe laying machine, and Sandy said, "What are you going to do?" Blah blah blah. The guy said, "This is how we do it." And Sandy's gone, "That's a bit difficult, sounds a bit expensive." Anyway, the guy gave a price. Sandy went out and designed and made his own pipe laying machine and did it for about half the cost. And the other great one here is the airport. They needed to get some water across from Dent Island across to here, and the cost of getting the piping done was prohibitive. Well, they could have paid it, but it was big. But what happened was Sandy standing at the airport one day, and he looked, and the airport runway's aiming straight at Dent Island, exactly where he wanted the pipe to leave. So he's got all the plastic piping down the side of the runway, put it all together. A boat came along, they towed the piping out, they submerged it with weights and held it on the bottom, and they've now got their water supply for next to nothing from Dent Island. That's the man, that's his brain. And Bob was the same way, very creative all the time.
Well, Rob, it's been great talking to you, and I'm sure everyone that's been up at Hamilton Island this week have had a fantastic regatta. The breeze has been fantastic. I was a little bit upset with the rain this morning, but the sun's popping through again.
It's liquid sunshine, mate. It's liquid sunshine. It is not rain.
Rob, all the best.
Good to see you
again,
mate.
Well done on all your efforts.
Fantastic, thanks.
Well, that's us from Hamilton Island Race Week for 2019. Stay tuned for World on Water with some great boating news from around the world.